This is Harry Gines, the first black man of reparations in U.S. history, coming to you today to bring you a presentation on black history. Today, as you can see, I'm draped in the United States flag. It's very important that we look at our nation, the United States, as a whole. Everybody's speaking on unity. Unity is something that has already been established in the United States, dating back to Abraham Lincoln. The Union must be preserved. That was Lincoln's most important issue even in freeing the slave. He wanted the Union to stay whole. And it has remained whole. But today, the fact that people won't even take the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States. We've seen plenty of burning of the U.S. flag. As we look at that, keep in mind, as you date back to the Civil War, and the black men who died, and the white men who died, so that today we can have the freedoms that we do. That should be important alone, that your flag represents the bloodshed that freed you. So when I hear and see people having no respect for their country, for their flag, that makes for a weak person, be it male or female. It makes for a weak person, a man without a land, a man without a country. He is like a lost animal that is in the wilderness. How can anyone say that they have no place on earth that they can say they come from? The people of the United States are known to be African American, but yet they have no ties, very little culture that would emulate anything coming from the continent of Africa. But yet they pride themselves in being African American. Now, if we look at that, just that point right there, you have no culture tying you to Africa. If Africa had any interest in you at all, I'm 60 years old and I can't remember any nation in Africa sending any ships, any aid, any funding, anything that would show an interest in the so-called African American that lives in the Western Hemisphere. So your connection to Africa is very questionable as far as your identity. You are about as American as it gets. The black people of the United States, I will repeat, is as American as it gets. You have no language. I mean, even you are, yes, you speak English, but if you went somewhere else speaking as you do, the world would look at you very strangely. But you have no knowledge of that because your travels are only within the land where you were enslaved. So because of the narrow education that you have in identifying yourself and your rejection of the flag that bore you, you were born out of the American flag. So you are draped in it, whether you want to respect it, it is your identity. What other identity do you have? The world doesn't even recognize you. You're recognized only because you live in the United States. But if, as I'm saying, if you were trying to tie yourself or someone to represent you, how would you do it? You've had a black president of the United States. Now, if we want to deal in ethnic, he never even tried to be anything of, as you say, an African American. He never really tried that. You know, true, he is an African American, as you guys like to term yourselves. But in all essence, if you are a people that are tied to a nation, the ethnic in you at some point would bond you. He never bonded to anything black. Only thing black that he bonded to were those who had money. If you had money, then the black president would make it a little easier for you. But if you didn't have any money, then he even put you in a position to even be subjected to peonage. He left you, the poor black African American, that's what you want to term yourself, whether it be black or African American. I don't know who you are, really, I don't, but I do know that this flag is something that represents, that the world recognizes. And within it, if you can find your strength, because this is the only thing that someone would say, you being the shade of tone that you are, you would have to be draped in something, because your nation has abandoned you as far as Africa is concerned. Okay, go ahead. You tell me how you have a connection. I mean, this is the 21st century and you have all the technology in the world. When have you tried to contact someone from Africa? I mean, you go ahead. Let the world know what kind of communications that you have with the country or the continent that you claim to come from. Because you don't have any connections. You have no communications with them at all. So, again, all you have is what you are as an American. The American flag. This is all you have. How else can you identify yourself? Other than you being dropped off in this Western world. You see, the name you have, the very name you have, as an African American, which you term yourself, that's a European name. And you have a lot of pride. You have a lot of pride. I'm not trying to insult your family. I've never came in any way disrespectful to anyone. I'm simply saying your name has an origin. Every name has an origin. You see, in every name that has an origin, the ones that most of the black people have in the United States, it's all European. So what do you have to identify yourself? Nothing but the flag. That's all you have. The rest of the world won't even recognize you, the language that you speak. So you are a being of a person that has no land, no country. You have no respect for anything that it represented. So why are you here? You are a free person. I mean, I'm not trying to put you in a position where you feel like, well, what am I supposed to do? No, that's not for me to figure. You see, you have all these complaints, about the United States, but yet you make no effort to contact the country or the land that you say you tied to. You say you're an African American, So whenever you decide to let those communications open, please let it be known when you got someone on the other end that's taking an interest in you, because I have no way of knowing where the African American is really trying to make a move towards the nations that he's supposed to came from. I mean, you're a free person. Why aren't you making some strides to really make that happen? I mean, I would really like some answers to that. But yet you're here in this nation, the United States, and you have a lot of complaints. You don't like the treatment that you're getting. I can understand that too. But at the same token, people who have money, hey, why can't you come together and help the people who are having these issues where maybe they might want to leave, or you don't want to leave? So you rather stay. See, it gets so confusing. That's why you get no help from the United Nations, because no one knows what an African American really wants. You see, you don't want the flag. You don't want to open up any communications back with Africa. But yet, when it comes to your freedom, you don't do any of the things to feed your country. You know, I mean, when I say feed your country, I mean, you're not a farmer, are you today? A black, what black farmer you know? See, so you're not even trying to feed your own people. I have no way of connecting you to what you say you want with what you're really doing. I don't. You've just had a black president. And what did he do? I just told you. He left the poor people in a state of peonage. Now, peonage is a real nasty word. You speak of peonage. See, technology has gotten to the point that terms you don't even really hear anymore. You know, I mean, like I said, just like a spade shovel, you don't go out there and, you know, form for your family's, you know, livelihood to survive and eat. You don't do that. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing over and over that you really are not trying to do. Now, I'm gonna leave you with that. This is Black history. And remember, someone tried to connect the dots for you. This is Harry Gines. I know you like the video short, and you got a short one. Rest in peace.